Hi y'all, it's Jess, and it's a real video time. So I'm going to do a quick April wrap up because I only read 15 books and I've talked about some of them in other shorts and stuff like that, so we don't need to go too deeply. I'm going to put a graphic thingy up there on the screen so you can see where they kind of laid out and how it went, because I'm not going to go through all of them because there was a lot of misses and there was a lot of hits, so I want to talk about specific things about each one. Okay. Let's get some of the basic information out of the way. Again, I read 15 books. Some of them were print, some of them were audiobook, and some of them were digital. Audio still reigned supreme with 72%, digital was 20%, and print was 7%. I think I only read one print book, and that was about a boy. That video is still coming up. I haven't forgotten about it. It's just the idea of spinning and going through and like doing a 20-minute video down, it just takes a while right now. Alright, I had the biggest categories were fantasy, mystery, thriller, and then contemporary and young adult. I read 1 nonfiction and I read 14 fiction, so that means like 93% were fiction. A total of 1,442 pages, 74.08 hours, and an average rating of 3.35. Not really bad considering how low some of those scores were too. Now, let's get to talking about the scoring this in April. I had the worst time when it comes to trying to read things well, because it was not good. I either had high highs or low lows, and then there was like 3 in the middle, but I'll give those in a second. So for the lows, you had Pushing Up Daisies, See Her Vanish, The Reappearance of Rachel Price, and The Butcher and the Wren, and The Vampire Knitting Club. Some of these were read for the Laid Back Lit Club, some of them were read for just title alone. And then you had three stars, and they were all part of a trilogy, and that was Witches on Parole, Witches Underway, and Witches in Flight. I'm doing a video on something, and so I wanted to kind of find some more, and these were just okay. They reminded me very much of, these were written in the, 2010s, and you can definitely tell. It's got that feel to it. They've got a little bit of a Nora Roberts feel. And then the high ones were Illuminations, About a Boy, Servant of Earth, Afterlife, The Velveteen Rabbit, The Lies I Tell, and Organizing for the Rest of Us. So that one was the nonfiction. I'm talking about this. I'll go through them in a little bit for a few more minutes. But basically, it was either really enjoying it or really hating it. And that's how it kind of landed out. I already did one on The Velveteen Rabbit and The Butcher and the Wren. You can see those in the shorts. I'll link them below. But they weren't really... The Velveteen Rabbit was an amazing read for me. The Butcher and the Wren made me want to scream and poke out my eyes. It was literally a 5 to 1 star comparison. Illuminations was great. It was by T. Kingfisher, and I love her work. It was a middle grade YA kind of feel to it. One of my favorite kind of age ranges that she writes for. I really, really, really enjoyed About a Boy. Again, we will have a video about that soon. Servant of Earth blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. Because I was not expecting it to be so good. The only reason it was a 4.5 instead of 5 stars was I felt like some parts were kind of left out. But if you're looking for a good dark fantasy with almost a romantasy, it's right there but not quite. It's it's one of those, will they, won't they type things. It's so good. I was so impressed with it. And then you had Afterlife, which is about being an immigrant in the U.S. and being faced with the prejudice around you and what you either ignore or kind of put off to being someone else's problem as an immigrant, about other immigrants. It was very interesting. I thought it was kind of a nice balance to that. You also had, in the I hated it category, The Reappearance of Holly Price. You can't get me to read Holly Jackson. I'm sorry. This was one and done. I'm never doing it again. It was long. It was bloated. It did not make any sense. Nothing made any sense. I didn't understand a single thing I read. Pushing Up Daisies I thought it was going to be better because it was billed as kind of like a Golden Girls. These people were in their 50s, which, I mean, I know the Golden Girls were, but they were in their 50s, but they acted like they were in their 50s. These people acted like, I don't know, that they either had no personality or they were in a relationship and that was it. See Her Vanish and that one was just kind of meh. I didn't feel any connection to the characters. It involved like going to like being a carny and all that, and it felt very empty to me. And then you had the Vampire Knitting Club, and the Vampire Knitting Club was simply, I liked the idea of it. I wanted to have more of the Vampire Knitting Club. Instead, it was like this mystery where it's like setting up the whole world, but there's nothing involved. And then like the niece takes over the knitting shop from her grandma. No, not niece, the granddaughter, or something like that. And then like they find out that the former owner is, a vampire now. And there's been a knitting club underneath this whole time. And I don't know, it just was a thing. Then you had organizing for the rest of us, and I really liked this. It was a very simple solution. If you have a step-by-step of thing of what you want to do, this is a perfect thing for you. A lot of the stuff I was already implementing through the help I'm getting in for the house, but it was nice to see that it was, corroborated, and it made a lot of sense for what we were looking at. Another one that blew my mind that I was not expecting was The Lies I Tell. That one was such a good thriller. Yes, suspense. It was more suspense than thriller, but the thriller to me was more of the motivations of the women, of the two sides of a similar coin and what had happened. I will say that one has got a lot of trigger warnings, so please check them out on the Storygraph or off their website somewhere, because I want to give you that. Same thing with Servant of Earth. Actually, they both are very dark at some points, and I want to make sure that my readers are aware of that. But in general, I had pretty decent reading month. Like, I either loved it or hated it, and then there's, again, the trilogy in between. The stats are actually pretty impressive to me. And I appreciate the fact that, the Laid Back Lit Cub, in particular in April, really motivated me to look at different things and to see what was available. This time it was a 2-card system, and it was a book that starts with A, was about a boy, a book with a 4-word title, The Vampire Knitting Club, a book with a floral cover, Servant of Earth, a book with a dual or multiple points of view, The Butcher and the Wren, a book you borrowed from the library, Afterlife, a book or an ebook or an audiobook, it was Illuminations, that was an audiobook, See Her Vanish, the 4th book in a series, and a book published in April 2024, The Reappearance of Rachel Price. I also did the 24 book club challenge, and I have Found Family Trope, which was for Witches in Flight. You had Servant of Earth for title is a spoiler. Literally, that's what she is. The Velveteen Rabbit is in the public domain, which makes me so happy. I talked about that in my other little thing. And then About a Boy was written in 3rd person. So it was this very interesting collection of what I read, how it worked out. I was really happy with it. I think I think my month in general was really solid on the high reads because I read quite a range of genres, and I found a bunch of different categories that work together. May be a little bit more difficult because I have very specific TBR, as it's been noted in my shorts. Again, sometimes I do shorts because it's easier to edit. I don't have to get on my husband's computer for quite as long. I can just edit the audio and go. I am very excited to be reading print again. I'm excited to, create a different kind of world for me in this way. And, my daughter is going into Kita more often, which is great for me because it gives me more time to do audiobooks and stuff as I clean the house and we're organizing it. Also, while trying to look for another house. So there's a little bit more there. I am just really glad that April had some reads I didn't expect. Like The Lies I Tell has been on my list for a while that I wanted to read. Saw my library had it. I just took the chance and read it. That's about it. There's not really anything else to wrap up. I just wanted to thank you guys for sticking around. I know it's been somewhat difficult with my daughter and trying to schedule things out, but things are getting back to scheduling-ish normal. I want to know what you guys loved, what you hated, what you were kind of like meh about. Talk about it in the comments. And if you don't want to leave any comments like that, you can leave a picture of the Earth, because, you know, servant of Earth, there's an Earth. That was a really good fantasy, and I'll talk about it too, because I'm going to compare it to another book that I just finished reading in May. I'm going to have that video up hopefully later this month. We say hopefully because who knows. All right, guys, I'll see you later. Bye.